Okay, so, oh my god. Okay, so just remember, water is a privilege, and watching this video is a privilege. Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to another, I'm wearing a cardigan in this tank top, so because I'm gonna be reviewing this HouseMaid book. Hey. So yes, I'm gonna be reviewing the HouseMaid book series because I ended up falling in love with the movie so much. I watched the movie before reading the books because like I had an option, okay fine, I'll just watch the movie. And thank God I did. Thank God I watched this movie without not knowing anything. I didn't know anything at all. You'll get this reference that I'm wearing all white once you see the movie or read the book. You'll get that reference. So sorry for the lack of videos again, but I'm here, I'm back. So during my trip, I ended up reading the sequels. The sequel books of the HouseMaid book, and I'm here to basically rank them and tell you my thoughts and experience with the HouseMaid because I wanted to share with you all, or if I would highly recommend it or not. So yeah, you know, what my experience watching the movie, I just love the twists and turns about it, and I just want to see where it goes next. So I'm here to tell you how this, again, I'm just looking at my notes as I go through. This will be, again, a non-spoiler review, so you've been warned, non-spoiler review, so anybody can watch this video. I'm gonna try my best not to spoil the book, especially like first one. I want you to go there as blindly as possible, especially the sequel. Before we start, I think the main question is, should you read this book before you see the movie? That's honestly a great question. I would say, in my opinion, either or works, because the thing that lots of people say about the movie from the book is like how accurate it is, almost how accurate is like how the book is to the movie, which is very rare when they do book adaptation to the screen. I mean, there's some like changes, like some minor changes that, or some pacing issues that you would notice it from the book from the movie. So if I were you, I think like if you really want to be surprised, you don't know anything, I would highly recommend watch the movie first and then read the book. Or if you're like a book lover first, I'd say read the book first and then watch the movie. But the movie's great, it's very fun, it's a great like campy thrill ride, and I think it's best to go on this series without knowing anything. That's how the best that I would go. So I'll go more details about it once during my ranking video. It's basically 4 books, but they probably released 3 books, so yeah. But if that interests you, go for it. So yeah, before we start, let's talk about the book covers. So the book covers are pretty much exactly identical to each other, except like the third one looks very oddly from the color palettes, like blue, red, and then there's this one, like the odd one out. I do love the concept of the eye, during the eye, like someone's eye in the keyhole, which is kind of like the I feel like these 2 books are kind of like sister book, like they're kind of like duology, I shall say. And I feel like this 3rd book is like potentially like a new series or like an epilogue of like something like an author would write years later, like what happened to this character. Is just, you know, I'll get into it. It's kind of like that. So I think the color choosing of these books is very bizarre. Like they're kind of like sister, and then this is the odd one now, like the gray one, I shall say. So yeah, that's my quick thoughts about the book cover. So yeah, let's talk about the ranking. Let's start with the 4th one, which is, I don't have it with me. I read it illegally, how some people do it nowadays. So I read about the HouseMaid Wedding. It's a novella that takes place between the 2nd and the 3rd. I would highly recommend reading that one after you finish this one. So after you finish the 2nd one, I would say read that one before you read this one, in my opinion, because when I read this, I was like, what the hell is going on? When did Millie did this? Until I read that, then we go, oh, okay, that kind of sets up a bit. So I highly recommend read that one before you read this one, or it doesn't matter, you can read this one and then read the novella. But I would really recommend read the novella first and then this one. That's something that I didn't think about till I was reading this book. So yeah, so it's Millie's wedding, the premise of the novella. I just didn't really like the mystery aspect of the movie. It wasn't really like, it was mystery a little bit towards the end. I feel like it just came out of nowhere, because the whole setup is like her getting ready for her wedding and then something bad always happens, you know. I feel like this could have been like a shorter chapter from the 2nd one instead of like its own novella. It could have been like an epilogue or whatever instead of, you know. And I feel like, yeah, I'm just glad, overall, I'm just looking at my notes, overall, I'm just glad there's like a story for Millie's like love life that's very important, which leads directly to like the third book. I'm very curious, because I know they're adapting the second one. I'm very curious if they're gonna include that one to that one, or they're gonna put that to the third. I think they should put that in the third adaptation if they decided to go through the third adaptation. So I think they should do the third adaptation and then lead towards the entire plot. That's what I would personally do, but we'll see if... So it's number 4. It's a short chapter, short story, and I like how it leads to her happily ever after-ish until this book came out. So this is the HouseMaid. This is the third ranking of the book. Is this the final book? I don't feel like it. Once I read this book, it doesn't feel like the final book to me. It felt like an epilogue, kind of like what happens to her. So she started to become like a mother in this book, like the mother version. And it's kind of like the reverse opposite. So like this one is more about like what if she hires like a housemaid in the book and like something sketchy always happens. I don't like, yeah, so feels like a time jump from the first 2 books. Very different from the first 2 books. And I feel like the mystery here is a little bit weak. It took me a while to, it's like it got me into the mystery and it got me out of the mystery. And I think it's because of the character, bunch of characters that they got introduced to this book. I didn't like too much focus of the book, especially like Millie's, like, yeah, she has children in this book. I didn't really like it, especially their involvement-ish in the book, but you'll see it once you read this book. And I do love how they did include, I mean, it was just kind of spoiled to me. I hope no one doesn't spoil this for you. I kind of like how there's this one character from the very first one kind of goes back, which is kind of like a little bit like a full circle moment, which I really like. And I feel like once you read this book, that's another opportunity where they could maybe bring some of the characters from the first one and put them back into the mix. That's another like idea option that's also in the book. And I do love the swap, like where what if Millie has a maid instead of her being the housemaid, which is an interesting perspective of her going through that. And yeah, the only difference that this one takes place more in the suburb neighborhood instead of like the city or a rich neighborhood. It's just more like in a suburb. Like it's like this one feels like an ensemble piece, like more like, yeah, ensemble piece, I would say, instead of just a Millie focus book. So yeah, again, if they end up adopting this book, if the second one does pretty successful like the first one, I'm okay with some changes that they could maybe do with this book, but I'm just very nervous this might be like another Wicked for Good book. It's more like a mixed divide, like where some people love the ending, like if they do a book adaptation, some people will like it, some people won't like it. So I'm very curious about it. It just wasn't like a strong ending. And I do like how, and I'm like, oh, they do like a little bit of a plot twist that maybe didn't see coming, or kind of explains this new character's behavior in the book. But yeah, I don't know, it's just number 3. It took me a while to, I'm glad I finished this before my trip was done, before I landed back home, but like this was like a bit of a chore. But I'm happy that I read it. I'm happy that I see how it ends. It reminds me a little bit like You, a little bit with the neighbor, sketchy neighbor and stuff. So yeah, that's my opinion with the third one. So the second one happens to be the OG, and it's a controversy take. I put the second one, the HouseMaid, the one that started it all. Again, when I read this book, it's quite an experience. I love the twists and turns from this book, and I think like when you watch the movie, you feel like it's a little bit like read by read. And I feel like the only thing that's different from the book, which I like about the book, is how like the punishment that like that Nina and Millie goes through in this book, it's more darker than how the movie portrayed it, and there's a little bit more backstory with a twist, especially like Andrew's backstory a little bit. And I feel like the book is not really rushed versus the movie. Like once you read the book and the movie, like, whoa, I feel like the movie pacing was a little bit rushed. I wish they didn't explore much. I think the biggest one is Enzo. Enzo has a lot more to do in the book versus the movie, and which is very scary, especially the next one coming up, because we'll get into it with the second one. So that's the only downside with Enzo's involvement. It makes more sense once you read the book versus when you watch the movie. And overall, I do like it how accurate it is from the book from the movie overall, which I really like. But there's just like some more details that I wish they would have added from the book into the movie, which makes more sense with the character choices that they chose. But yeah, I like the one that, you know, started it all. It's the HouseMaid, you know, which I like. Okay, so my favorite book from the trilogy series, I would say, is honestly, I love the HouseMaid's Secret. This was like twist and turn. I love the premise of the book. book, and like especially like the husband twist and stuff. It's wow. I'm very excited to see how they adopt this book to the movie. I feel like this is the type of book, like if you really love Millie and you're really interested in Enzo, then you will probably definitely like this book a lot more, because it's very like Millie focus book, and Enzo's a little bit towards, he's there, but he's more involved towards like later half of the book, towards like the end, and I'm just very curious how they're gonna do the twist in the movie, which I really love how they do the twist in the book. I was like, what? And I just hope the movie does justice. I'm just very nervous how they're going to establish Enzo in the movie, because he was very like important and vital in the book, especially makes more sense once you read the third one. But like the second one, yeah, like, you know. But I do love the setting of the book. It does take place in the city. It takes place in New York, where Millie was living after the events of the first one. And I love the idea of exploring like how creepy it is being stalked on multiple times in the city, and like Millie's struggle. Like it's a great deeper character study for Millie in the sequel than like the first one. So yeah, again, it's a great character development study for Millie from this one to the first one, so which I really like. And again, the villain of this story, wow, that's something that I didn't really see coming, and how that villain was punished or what happened to them. Boy, I'm very curious if they're gonna do that in the sequel than that one. So yeah, this is like my ranking. So this is my ranking of the HouseMaid book series. So let me know comments below, how would you rate this book itself, and what are some changes, put spoiler in your comment, that you would love the filmmakers to make in the second one, and do you think like they should wait for a couple years to do the third one, because the third one is very like different from the first. It has the same like formula, it's just very different, especially like the time frame with Millie. Let me know what are your thoughts about the book series and the movie. Do you like the movie? Do you like this potential movie series that they're maybe gonna do? And how would you like Lionsgate to adopt like the HouseMaid secret in the movie? Should they follow the book, or would you like them to do some changes like what they did in the first one? So yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think, and I'll see you all on the next video. Hope you enjoyed this book session, because books are a privilege. Reading is a privilege. Okay, goodbye! Drink your juice and water. No more white. I love the little like chapter about, it's like, oh my god, like that is crazy. It just shows like red. Oh, wait, that's it? Okay.